Okay, cherubs, so in John Green's new book, the title appears in the form of an anecdote, where a science professor explains the history of the universe only to be confronted by somebody who claims that the world is flat and rests on the back of a turtle, who rests on another turtle, who rests on another turtle, and so on. So it's just turtles all the way down. This theme surfaces over and over again in the novel. The spiral, which features on the cover and comes from the poetry of William Butler Yeats, is referenced again and again as something that constricts infinitely, but also widens infinitely. And this is the key to nearly all the symbolism in the novel, and it helps us identify the lessons that it can provide. To explain this, I need to first show you the Mandelbrot set. It's a fractal image created from a pretty simple formula, and it repeats infinitely if you zoom in, but also repeats infinitely if you zoom out. It appears as though it's Mandelbrot sets all the way down and up. It's self-repeating no matter how far you zoom in or out. The protagonist and narrator of this novel, Aza, suffers from a mental health condition which manifests in crippling fear of bacteria. She struggles with a fear of microbacteria inhabiting her body. She zooms in and lives inward. Her love interest, and in some regards her foil, is Davis, who could be described as an amateur astronomer. He stares at the universe and has a favorite star. It's his favorite because the star is 12 light years away, and the light that star sees reflected off of Earth reflects a world where his mother is still alive. Aza believes that in a few years he'll find a new favorite star a few more light years away, and it's safe to say that Davis zooms out. The theme surfaces in other places as well. Aza's friend Michael, for example, throughout this novel, produces an art piece that combines the mugshots of 100 prisoners to produce Prisoner 101. You have to stand at a distance to see it. It contains both the big picture of the average of 100 prisoners and each individual prisoner. It zooms in and zooms out. Another reoccurring image is the Tuatara lizard, not a lizard. It's discussed both in terms of its 200 million year evolution and its fast-paced molecular mutations. The big picture of the species throughout time and the individual experience of each individual Tuatara's molecules. Davis's father believes that by studying this one creature, he can unlock the secrets to longevity for all creatures, so he zooms in order to zoom out. So here's the central question we're left with. If you can zoom in infinitely, and zoom out infinitely, then where is the foundation we can build our truth on? Where is the start, and where is the end? According to Aza's best friend Daisy, we have the freedom to choose the stories we tell. If we can zoom in or zoom out infinitely, we get to choose where we stop. In her words, we get to choose the frame. It makes sense that Daisy writes fan fiction. She's given a canonical story, and then she moves the frame wherever she wants to create her own stories. The problem is that Aza can't fully adopt that perspective because her mental health doesn't allow for her to leave the prison of her body. She doesn't have the mental freedom that Daisy has. Daisy wants to move the frame so this book can have a tidy, happy ending, but Aza refuses to let that happen, so where do we go from here? Well, just as John Green turned to mathematician George Cantor to inspire his metaphor about individual lives being little infinities and the fault in our stars, he turns to the mathematician Kurt Gödel to inspire his metaphors here. Gödel is referenced briefly in the book as having a similar mental health issue to Aza, but his mathematics have a relationship to the way Aza thinks as well. To understand this, let's go to the thought bubble. What's that, Stan? We don't have professional animation? Okay. More GIFs and still shots then. Kurt Gödel's most significant contribution to mathematics is known as the Incompleteness theorem. He proved that the axioms of mathematics, the foundations upon which mathematical knowledge is built, are incomplete. This is relevant to the novel because Aza is struggling the entire book to find her true, unadulterated, and uncontaminated self. She's trying to find her axioms, and all she finds is a never-ending tightening spiral, an incomplete foundation, no true starting point. Aza is like math, it's just turtles all the way down. So Daisy tries to move the foundation. Gödel and Aza question whether or not a foundation can even exist. In the end, we find out that this story is written by Aza sometime in the future, after innumerable successive attempts to complete this hero's journey, defeat the dragon, and return with some elixir. But she can't defeat that dragon, because that dragon is an integral part of herself. Life is going to be a series of struggles without a victor. It's going to be turtles all the way down, but that doesn't mean we can't continue the process of becoming human by zooming in and zooming out repeatedly. And that's the lesson that we're left with. Love is described in the novel as both how you become a person and why. Love doesn't have a foundation, but you can pause for a second to see proof that it exists and then move on from there. The act of remembering love, she says, proves that she can love and be loved. She uses that memory as a foundation, and from here, the hope is that she can build her present and future story upon that rock. Even though she will certainly spiral down again, we are left believing that she will zoom out with more love and more humanity with each trial, and those trials will always be difficult and often unwinnable. To use another image from the book, life is going to be an unnavigable river, but you're going to build that city anyway. Okay, so I have many more thoughts on this book that didn't fit neatly into this video. The trees that cut up the sky, for example, fit neatly into that fractal and frame situation I tried to describe here, but I just didn't know how to fit them in. Let me know your thoughts on this or anything else in the book. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I put out a new video about once a month. Thanks for watching.